Good morning, YouTube. 10:38 a.m. 1/15/2020. I ain't gonna be on here long. I just heard some things that it's very promising, and I believe sometimes us speculating about certain things makes it worse because speculation's kind of unknowing unless you plot and you plan the speculation. Then you know, like the games that we've been played and where we're at. We're finally, as people, finally starting to see a bigger picture, and I'm hoping more and more wake up. I watched an interview with Red Pill 78, and the individual I think owns the Camelot Castle in England or Britain or wherever it is over there, and this guy brought it to my attention. I had kind of speculated here and there what the Q movement was doing and representing, because where I had went and read what Trump real plans are for the United States of America, United States of Republic, is where he wants to get us back to. That's my understanding. Forgive my coughing, sneezing. My fiance went to Virginia at Christmas. And brought me back a gift that I wish she wouldn't have brought me. But anyway, slowly by slowly, it's working its way out of me. Forgive me of my lungs. This cold settled in my lungs and my sinuses, and it makes it even harder on me. But I did manage to bend over my habit of my cigarettes quite a bit while she was gone, and I'm still working on it hard. I'm averaging now, while she's at work, 6 cigarettes a day. That's 8-10 hours a day she's gone at work. She gets home in the evenings. I end up smoking probably about another 5 or 6. So I am legitimately at a half a freaking pack. Some days less. Most of the days it's right dead on the money. 10 to 12 cigarettes. Okay, I had to slow it down, stop it. While she's gone, I smoke about 3 of these a day with some tobacco. And this become more satisfying than smoking a cigarette. But anyway, back to the fellow at Camelot and Red Pill 78. I had seen it, and as Q had done his form drops, and for people that don't want to believe that Q is something legitimate, that's totally up to y'all. Okay. And what I mean by that is, every one of us has moments in our lives to where we know when we're being told the truth or know when we're being told a lie. And when we know we're being told the truth, it's a waking experience, and every one of us has a different level of awakening. It takes certain things to make that click in our heads. Every one of us. Some is close to the same things. Most of us. The old saying is, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Then I had to think about that philosophy behind what that was being said. What better way of keeping somebody in a ditch and not allowing them to have any kind of enlightenment in themselves and people around them. And foolish people, they're going to fight this tooth and nail until all the ugly, unvarnished truth comes out. And then they won't have no choice. And there'll be a few still yet not knowing how to reason or function in their own heads. And there's a lot of people out there like that. I know every one of y'all, new subscribers, old subscribers, appreciate it being here. You've done seen, heard, reasoned in every manner necessary to sway another's thought process to see where you're coming from. So that light will wake up and that veil will be ripped out of their head. Or at least a crack pulled in it to where they can look through it. The key thing, it deals more than 60 to 75% natural law, common law, natural law. And that's, I believe, the plan of Trump's is to get us back into that situation. There's a whole lot of things got to change, that's for sure. The financial end of it, that's one of it. That keeps falling back under the four hidden dynasties for me. Your political system, your educational system, financial system, and your religious system. All four of them interferes with our lives from cradle to grave. And as you break it down and you start seeing how the lines correspond with each other throughout our lives, back and forth in every manner, you start seeing the bigger picture on how they've manipulated us into believing things that was never to be true, but they turned the falsehood into a truth. Well, the truth always rises above the falsehood. So, in natural law, especially, and Lord's law, God's law, there's nothing they can say or do about it. For example, thousands of protesters in Virginia, which was, I wouldn't even consider the NRA a really legitimate group of people anymore, other than people pay, I guess, subscription every year to have a card to say they're a member of the NRA. When you got the head of the NRA running around spending $30-some thousand on clothes, the man growed up in the same town I growed up in, Roanoke, Virginia, and I need to look the guy's name and face up. Hell, I may even know him. I think he said he's about my age. I may even went to school with the fool. But anyway, there for the longest, their committee and stuff that they should have been doing for the people of they're going to be lobbyists for the people and make sure that the wrong people don't keep trying to take our so-called rights away from us, which legitimately they can't. But it's a mental game that they play with us. The thing about putting a frog in a boiling hot pot of water, it knows instantly when you do that. But if you put it in while it's cold and you turn the heat on, it warms up to it. It don't even pay no attention to it. That's the same thing they've done to us mentally when it comes to them fooling us. I keep hearing something. I don't see anything. Oh well. Anyway, and the brothers and sisters in Virginia, let me give y'all a piece of advice. It didn't take the NRA standing up for y'all. It took y'all, thousands of you, over that AR-15 issue. That's only one part of it. They take these things in increments and describe to y'all on how they're taking something away from you that they can't. This is the fools. I mean, the fools and the follies. But at the same time, if you done the right thing, you engaged. Okay, the NRA didn't do it. You all did it. This is I'm trying to get y'all to understand, and some will. They know they're a member of something that's a whole. Okay, the hive mind, so to speak. But at the same time, it took every one of them as individuals to show up at these town halls, the city halls, and all this other stuff. They squashed the AR-15 so-called band or whatever it was, and people, the encroachment over something that is an inherent right to protect yourself, okay? This is where we all fall short of understanding. They can run their mouth, write anything they want to on a piece of paper. That don't make it so. It don't make it true. It don't make it no more than another word being put on a piece of paper. So I'm glad to hear and see the brothers and sisters of Patriots there in Virginia is moving in the right direction. And I said in the beginning of all this, and probably about less than a month ago, that the only way that any of this is going to get fixed, and a lot of people ain't going to hear this because they find themselves so tied up in their lives. We're going to have to carve out a spot in our life to engage these fools and idiots. And that's exactly what happened there. They took the time, carved out the time to go forth and stand up for themselves. Because the thing of it is, it's the old bully presence. Until somebody busts that bully in the mouth, that bully just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But once the first person steps up and busts him in the mouth and takes a little bit of that power away from him, then it's just a total different show. Okay? And thousands of people showed up in Virginia. They just busted the bully in the mouth. Okay? Their lying and deceit. I figured this much out too. It's always about we the people and our vote every 4 years, supposedly. Apparently, they can't take us out of the equation. So that makes it even harder on them to do something against us, especially if we're standing there with a baseball bat in their hand, letting them know you make the wrong move, I'm going to break your hand. That's in a relative sense, of course. But the bigger outcome was they knew if they kept pushing the issue in Virginia, And don't y'all believe this is over. Uh, y'all just, the only thing y'all done is turn the page on them. They're gonna wait for the next event, the next shit show, and they're gonna try to prove their point again. What needs to be done is y'all need to get some of these illegitimate people that's sitting in them seats up there in Virginia. Y'all need to start bringing them to the forefront, putting them on any kind of national media that'll accept it and show proof. All your alternative medias, there's a bunch of people out here that would be glad to do that type of story to help move the truth ahead. This is something they can't fight against either, and they've been trying so hard to squash truth. Truth don't get squashed. A lie will, because to make a lie work, you got to use a little bit of truth, okay? And to uphold the lie, you got to tell another lie, okay, with the same amount of truth that you had in the beginning of the lie. Okay. Half truth, still a lie. Let me get off the Second Amendment thing here for a second. Get back to Camelot Castle. I watched the interview. It was real interesting. I believe the man's owned something, because, or owned to something, because the prince and his wife, being who she was, and all of a sudden you got a prince that growed up in all this money, wealth, and opulence, and all of a sudden he's wanting to leave it. Okay, there's a lot of dirty, rotten shit happening there. For the people overseas and Britain and this, that, and the other, I'd rather see the monarchy completely die off and maybe put some kind of realism in all of y'all's lives. I mean, this is 2020. It's, it's not the 1500s. The monarchy's a joke. Y'all got all of this government out past the queen, but somehow or another she's always tied into it. But anyway, I know some people are going to disagree with me on that, but I am sitting here in the United States to show you that there is a better way of doing it. Even though we're all in the same fight, we all have the same, worldwide, we all have the same enemies. One's got a British accent and one's got an English accent. But it don't matter where you step in this world, the enemy is the same enemy, whether people can see that or not. Okay. He made a good, he said he asked himself a question. Who benefits from them two leaving? Then the mainstream media is telling you that little bit of truth that I told you about. Okay. So the lie work. Okay. The hidden agenda in the lie is there's a good possibility that they got to wait for Trump to get out of office. And I hope that Trump Jr. jumps on the bandwagon right after his daddy. Because if he does, he'd be the next president, probably for another 8 years. These people are looking for a way to get themselves back into the seat of their demonic garden. Okay, she's either going to be a mouthpiece against Trump in this election, which I believe that's going to be there anyway, because of her popularity. And they had to disavow who they were because the Queen does have a set of rules, I guess, that keeps them from getting publicly involved in any kind of political situations. Well, being who the prince and his old lady's buddies are, the Hilderbeest and Barry Santero, they're good friends with them. So now they're going to take them two, groom them, belittle whoever that is trying to do any kind of good, or they're trying to groom them to get her to run for president. Now, think about this. What if, just scenario, what if the Queen of England and Harry and the rest of them, okay, seen an opportunity to finally take down the White House? Okay, what I mean by this is they get her up there in the limelight, push her around. She runs that mouth and she's doing this, she's doing that. Oh, she's doing good for the American people and blah this and blah that. Gets into power, becomes president, first female president. Okay. Harry picks back up his princehood. Do you not understand what that is then in the United States, in our government? It's called it'll be a power vacuum back to a monarchy. And done in such a way to where most people would take them a couple years to figure out what they just did. But it puts them in that kind of position. Other than that, it's just speculation, thought, make you think, and pay attention to her and him on the who, what, when, and where, and who they hang out with, what they're doing, what they're promoting. I said their best buddies is Barry Santero and Hilderbeest, and that ain't two of the most respected people in the world, if you have any idea on what's going on. And we still have a bunch of people out here that don't care to know. We have a bunch of people out here that don't want to believe that this is going on. They're right and we're all wrong. But slowly, just like the guy at Camelot Castle that rose the Q flag above Camelot Castle. He said before he went to the grocery store, he'd put it up. Okay, on the way to the grocery store, there was 10,000 hits. By the time he got back from the grocery store, okay, now we're talking 2, 3, maybe 4 hours at the most, there was 40,000 hits on Camelot Castle in that Q flag. A lot of other people started waking up and started asking questions. All different age groups, all different races, all different financial situations. The man is heavily, I don't know how you'd say it, enough people throughout the world respecting to where his ties to world leaders is something that he deals with probably on a weekly or weekly basis. Okay. But anyway, I'm gonna get off here. Like I said, it's now it's 11:01 a.m. 1/15/2020, and like I said, it gives you something to speculate about when it comes to Harry and his old lady, because how is it that you grow up that way and so used to something like that and pampered in every direction you could possibly be going in to give it up to go make your own money, unless you got all the wrong people that's willing to help you. And I believe he hit the nail on the head. He said it's just a thought, but he never went in that direction. I just picked up on what he said as a thought, okay, and run with it in my own way. And that's all this is right now, still speculation. But if you do see who's going to benefit from them leaving, it ain't real hard to put the pieces together. But anyway, y'all, peace to you. Hope everybody's doing okay. Thank you for the new subscribers and the old ones too. I don't get to say that enough. I wish I'd say it more. We're still, I think we're about midways out of the woods, which we'll never be out of the woods 100%, but we can now stand in the woods and see light. And the financial things that's coming is going to be a blessing to all of us, not just one group of people, not just the 1%. Sometimes I know everybody out there has these feelings that they know they're right about, and sometimes they know because sometimes they're aged. They just know when they have a feeling something's right. They know that they just know. Okay, it's just I feel like that these things will work out to the good. The Q thing, Trump, think natural law, common law. It's not to be confused with man's everyday law. And natural law has to come first before anything else, because man has made enough chaos from his own law, and our good books done told us that man's law is unjust. All right, y'all. Peace. Have a good day.